Marvel 1985 to this day is still my second favorite comic book within the Marvel lineup. A short story synopsis that a kid with problems runs into a situation where Marvel villains enter the real world, which, fun fact, our world actually has a canonical number in the Marvel universe and it's called Earth 1218. However, this story takes place in Earth 1219, which is the Miller world, aka the same universe that Kick-Ass takes place in. Y'all remember when Kick-Ass was a grounded story about delusional people? Yeah, me too. Good times, actually. The movie was okay, you know? I like it. Not sure how I feel about the sequel though. I mean, it was good, I guess. This is the On My Mind series where the title is self-explanatory. Now, I'm not going to be like most YouTubers and go over the book in depth because I actually want you to read it and not listen to someone else read it. Read! It is not that hard to read a comic on the internet. And don't hit me with that, I don't have time with it. Because nigga, if you have time to doom scroll on TikTok, you have time to read a book. So anyways, I'm gonna go over this with the assumption that you read it already and you know what I'm talking about. I personally like the story based off the premise alone because I like stories where the fantastical meets the mundane, but the external world stays grounded. Meaning people have realistic reactions to logic essentially being flipped on its head, which I miss in storytelling. I bet if this shit came out today, we get like several panels of dialogue trying to logically explain why Clyde is the only one with powers or try to wave it off like a fever dream. But they don't do that here, which I respect. His powers is never explained. He's just a mutant just because, which I like. Bring back just because as an explanation for things. Like, I never understood why people hype up magic systems. Like, you're literally just saying just because, but in an overcomplicated way. Like, magic is not something that's based on reality. You literally can do it. No, I'm gonna save that rant for another video. You don't need to explain why the gingerbread man came to life. Be like Gumball. Speaking of Clyde Wincham, if their name sounds familiar, then you already know that this book is the origin story of one of my favorite reality benders in comics, and that is the Marquise of Death. And this book is kind of an origin story for him. You know, the guy that turned Dr. Doom's heart into stone, blood into acid, and tossed him through time, which led to one of the greatest get-backs in comics, Fantastic Four number 566 and 567. You don't even need prior knowledge to read it. You just gotta hop in the story and everything is already explained to you. Seriously, continuity does not matter in Marvel Comics. It's like Rick and Morty where continuity is more of a treat than a mainstay gimmick. One of my favorite scenes was when Toby met the Hulk and got caught in a battle between the Hulk and Juggernaut, and that scene fully captured the sheer power of the two forces clashing. I also like the description he gave Banner, like that pointed out the most overlooked part of the Hulk, which is the fact that he smells like wet booty cheeks. Another point of interest is how scary the story painted the villains and how horrifying they'd actually be in our world. Like, this is the shit that everyday citizens have to deal with in the Marvel universe. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read you the panel. On the main street, the Blob was eating everything and everyone he could get his chubby hands on. The Multi-Man was burning people up inside their cars as Sauron pecked the eyeballs from their bodies that Michael Morbius left behind. And then there was a scene of MODOK just mind controlling groups of people and having them walk into the ocean. Like, imagine just walking by and you're just seeing this and you have no idea who these people are or what's going on. Like, imagine coming home from work as the sun is setting and you look up and you see Galactus telekinetically building the element converter before your very eyes. Like most, I do my best Batman impression and piss myself. Another thing I also appreciate is just the realistic use of reality bending, because let's be honest, this is something I can see most niggas doing if they were suddenly given that ability. And if I haven't made it obvious, I also appreciate reality bending as a concept because it's literally what magic is supposed to be, not something that can be explained away through a logical system. Magic by its very nature and by definition is purely anti-logic. I remember this one video by DannyPhantom.exe where he mentioned why reality bending would suck because you have to think about the scientific how and why, which is confusing reality manipulation with matter manipulation, which is where you actually have to take science and biology into account. Reality manipulation is saying something works because you said so. I believe the SCP wiki tackles reality bending pretty well. Like, I believe it was the witch child who changed the color of the sky, and upon changing it back, she couldn't really get the exact color right, which that scene alone explains it perfectly. But then again, I'm gonna save that rant for another video. But in short, I really like how it's used here, even down to the mother's reaction to Clyde. Like, imagine seeing an entire town of strangers in front of your house in the middle of the night, along with your dead husband. Like, who wouldn't freak out at that? But yeah, I highly recommend reading it because it's actually a fun concept to read. But yeah, it's Marvel 1985 by Mark Millar and Tommy Lee Edwards. Yeah, bye.